Now there are those that say, well, it does not matter what you believe. That's not true. Because you will behave as you believe. A sister's a man that won't bring his paycheck home, doesn't believe much about the matter. And likewise, brother, if she doesn't bring you your slippers every now and then, to cook your favorite meal, she doesn't think much of you.
Right there.
Now, of course, I know there are those of you, perhaps, that are naysayers when it comes to the preacher pastor. Now, I know some of y'all think all the preacher wants is the 4 C's. Chickens, chicks, cars, and kids. That's what I hear in the barbershop, not just here, all over the country. But however, let's look closer at what Paul is saying and kind of narrow our focus on he gave some pastors and teachers. What's he saying?
All right.
The first thing he is saying is that the new pastor is a gift. Now that might sound so much means a gift. Well, it said he gave. And to give something denotes a gift being wrapped on it. He gave some pastors and teachers. And since it is the Lord who gives the congregation a pastor, that implies Little Union and the rest of y'all to remember 2 things. First, how you treat the gift is indicative of what you think about the gift. Now, for example, let's take your children. You spend all that money at Christmas buying toys. They tear the toys. They don't realize how hard you work every day to save up and buy the toy. Or, as in my case, my wife lost her engagement ring. And boy, I hit the roof. I think I paid for the little money I got for her ride. And she lost it. And I felt she did not think much of me. If I could give it to you, at least keep it on your feet. Now let me clean up the rest of the story. She did find it later on. Or what of spouses who give each other expensive gifts like a fur coat? If you don't take care of it, that says you don't think much of the gift. How then a church supports her pastor as far as fellowship and fellowship is concerned says in essence how deep is her commitment to Christ who gave you the pastor. Because you see, how you treat the bearer of the word is an indicator of how deep is your love for the word. Now, is that biblical? Yes. Well, you remember when Israel came to Samuel? Samuel, we want a king. Well, and Samuel felt put down. He felt rejected. So what did he do? He talked to the Lord, and the Lord said, Samuel, give them what they want. They have not rejected you. They really want me. You see, just as ambassadors to various countries appointed by the president represent him in foreign lands. So the pastor is not only to have a heart for the people, but he must be sensitive to the heartbeat of God, as it were, as to what the pastor is to feed the flock, not fleece it. We hear this emphasized in Ezekiel 34, 4-5. You have not strengthened the weak or healed the sick or bound up the injured. You have brought them not back, of the strays, or search for the lost. You have ruled them harshly and brutally. So they were scattered because there was no shepherd. Yeah. And when they were scattered, they became food for all the wild animals. Something else we notice when we say he gave.
Yes, sir.
Who is the he? It's Christ.
Yeah.
It's Christ who does the hiring and firing. Of the profession. Now I know y'all say, well, we elected. Well, you did. But you know one thing about the Black Baptist Church, we're going to vote out the Bible.
That's right.
Almighty quiet. But she let the truth. But if a church is really open to the move of the Spirit, he will place his man on their heart.
Know you right.
That he wants in their spot.
That's right.
Because when a church gets caught up in this vote trip, you'll end up losing your vision. God never asked for a vote. He gave the vision.
Tell that story today now. Tell the story.
Christ gives the pastor. Now, is that biblical? Yes. Revelation 1, verse 20. Jesus said, you know that vision? 7 candlesticks, which says he comes to church.
Yes, sir.
He's in the middle of them. But then he says something that thrills my heart. The 7th star in my right hand. And the right hand is the hand of favor. Represent the angels or the messengers or the pastors of those churches. Now, what does that say? Obviously, a star speaks of light. The preacher pastor is called to shed light on the subject of what God is up to as far as heaven is concerned. Not just as navigators and just as those who travel the Underground Railroad were guided by stars, so the church and the community looks to the pastor for direction on how to have a better life. But then something else. If the star, if the pastor is in his hand, then Christ controls it. Because anything that's in your hand is in your control. And if they're in his hand, if you ever study astronomy, constellations, there's an invisible pattern that says he arranges things. You know, the master says through his servant Jeremiah, I will give you pastors after my own heart, who will lead you with knowledge and understanding. Second, the profile of the pastor only says he's a gift to the church. But his very title speaks of his function. Pastor, teacher. Now look at the word a little closer. Pastor. There's at least 2 meanings. Overseer or business manager. He is to oversee the affairs of the church in behalf of the great head. We know that our managers don't own the company. They merely supervise the carrying out of the policy. So it is the under shepherd is to lead the flock in carrying out heaven's policy. He does not own the congregation. He is to guide the people. One thing about a good business manager, he will try to lead folk into acquiring assets. And I'm just talking about money. But the preacher should lead them to acquire those intangible assets of love and faith and hope, as well as tangible assets to articulate the good news to the world. And then again, a good business manager will lead them to dump the liability. of traditionalism and malice and envy and jealousy. Because he understands if you don't dump the liabilities, you'll end up in a spiritual recession.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It also says he is to equip the saints. That simply means to help the saints increase the market share. Oh, that's another word for saying get new customers. While the message does not change, methods do. So the pastor must shed light to the church on how to utilize new ways to get the good news out.
Amen.
And then we notice the word pastor itself is a Latin word. It's a roots in Latin meaning a herder of sheep, which means he seeks to take them to greener pastures of the effective discharge of their duty. He longs for the flock's thirst to be quenched with the waters of spirituality. He longs not for the flock to sit back on past accomplishments because they'll get stagnant. And the book also says he is to protect the flock. See, in biblical days, the pastor was, or the shepherd was the literal door before the opening of the sheepfold. He would lay down at the entrance so nobody could come in or go out except by the shepherd. That's why you have to make his job easy. Hebrews 13:17 says, obey your leaders and submit to their authority. They keep watch over you as a man who must give an account. Obey them that their work may be a joy. Don't get his blood pressure up with mess. That's what he's saying.
All right now.
Not that their work may be a joy, not a burden. Because that would be an advantage to you. In other words, if he's upset, he can't do his best.
That's right. That's true. Amen.
Third, Bible says what his function is. But why do you have pastors anyway? Well, look at the book.
All right.
Look at verse 11 to 13. I'll sum it up. To equip the saints for the work of ministry, says the King James, but ministry is service.
Amen.
He is the minister here. You are ministered, small m. Now the word equip is interesting. It was a surgical word used to set a broken limb, put a joint back in place, bring feuding factions together so you could accomplish something in government. It also means to restore or discipline some member of the church who had fallen, as it were, at a fellowship. So the preacher, pastor's task is to be about restoring lives so that the flock can leave here and engage in the ministry of reconciliation. My God. Now let me clarify my point. All right. Let's take a football team. Now we know before the play is carried out, the team does what? They huddle. But it must be remembered, you don't score any points by huddling. It is when the team lines up in front of the opposition and runs the ball and gets it across the goal line that you score points. But it's a sad predicament of the church. Many believers are just hurt. And then forfeit the game. When you're done hunting, you go home and sit down and do nothing. Just hunting. And then you waste time bragging about who got the biggest huddling sheep. And I say this in love church, that's basically what all these conventions are, just big hooks.